looking back, was there some sort of pattern to your reading, to your voluntary reading when you were a boy?
I think there was, and I think a lot of it was based upon, I don't think I grasped a lot of what I was reading. I grasped the parts that I needed, if you will. And I suppose Lake was a revelation, because here was talk of Camden Town and Marylebone and angels and demons all in the same sentence. Mm. And
what attracted you about that juxtaposition? It was the juxtaposition that again, a sort of parallel world.
There it is.
Angels hovering and...
Well, it isn't even a parallel world.
The London streets going.
Yes, he's not even saying it's two worlds. No. He's saying it's just one world. Yeah. And that was the revelation to me, that previously I'd lived, if you will, the sort of C.S. Lewis vision, which is that you open the wardrobe and you step through the wardrobe and Narnia's on the other side. What Blake says is, Narnia's here. What Blake says is the metaphysical life, the life of angels and demons, occupies the same streets that we are walking and breathing and living in. The other thing, of course, to say is that at the same time you start to realize that with Wells, with Shelley, Mary now, with Stoker, with Stevenson, with Tolkien, with C.S. Lewis, that many of the great works of fantasy, science fiction, horror fiction were written, you know, by Brits. Mm-hmm. And I suppose it wasn't until I got to university that I realized how condescending people could be about this kind of fiction. Just because we turn 16 and become embarrassed by asking the questions doesn't mean we don't still continue to say, why am I here? Who put me here? What's it worth? Is there a God? All of those questions, which remain every bit as legitimate at the age of 41 as they did when I ceased asking them out of embarrassment when I went to university, because I suppose the vocabulary, you know, I studied philosophy at university for a period, and linguistic philosophy was still very much a legitimate source of endeavor, and I really wasn't interested in that. I wasn't interested in studying semantics as a means to knowing why I was on the planet. Mm. I wanted to ask the questions Blake asked. Actually, I wanted to give the answers Blake gave. and so I think that's what touches the fans. I think it's the sense that I'm saying we live in a world full of these unseen powers. And don't be shy about allowing your imagination to open to that possibility, even if it's only in the pages of a book.
These metaphysical and fantastical themes explored in Barker's epic novels such as Weave World, The Great and Secret Show and Imagica have broadened his appeal, drawing him away from the horror fiction which first established his reputation.
No attention. Yeah, we had no damage at all.
I'm quite into the occult myself, and I find it's very accurate. I don't know whether he does a lot of occult research or anything, but it's kind of very true. It really rings true to me.
Jay and Clive. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
The female characters are really strong, and I find that's unusual with a male author.
I don't know if you remember, I made you a pinhead fridge magnet.
I still have it.
I've made you another
I still have it, absolutely.
Rawhead Rex fridge magnet. It also glows in the dark.
It's a Rawhead Rex fridge magnet. Isn't that cool? And it glows in the dark?
The teeth do.
And they just deal so much more to me with the more sort of intrinsic, basic thing of life, inevitable death, and what it is to be human, the predicament we're in. And he addresses that very, very powerfully.
Felicity. Felicity. We got it.
His concept of the sort of demons from hell is like the complete opposite. It's like it's very cold and sort of clinical, and whereas it's not chaotic. It's the opposite. It's all discipline and order, and I just like it's the way he's turned everything around. That whole idea of what the usual concept of hell is.
I love it. That's actually a really good one, Danny. It's a really good one. It's so cool. Thanks, Danny. Great.
I did get some very strange looks on the train. People wouldn't sit near us. They all sit well away. I hear that you're working with Virgin on PC software.
Yes.
Any titles or?
A game called Ectosphere.
There are a great many people out there who are emotionally disturbed, and where do they see themselves? When they go to the movies, they always see themselves as a villain who ultimately has to be killed. This is very distressing for a lot of people. I have a friend who suffers from a mild form of schizophrenia, and she enjoyed Cabal very much for that precise reason that she could see herself.
I think Stephen King said he's not only delivers the goods, he is the goods. And so the word about him came before the books arrived. And once the books of blood hit the shelves in the States, it was pretty much opened the floodgates right there. I mean, it was, wow, this guy is great. You've got to read Clive Barker.
Are there any generalizations you can give us about what strikes the people who become fanatical about your work?
I'm using the vocabulary of religion. I'm using good, evil, damnation, transcendence, heaven and hell, and all its occupants, and saying, this is the world in which we live, or this is the world in which my characters live, and therefore, because the world that I'm describing, the world in which those characters are found at the beginning of those books, is very similar to the world that you, the reader, are occupying, then these possibilities, good and bad, are just around the corner from you. I don't see a gate, Harvey said. That's because there isn't one. So how do we get in? Just keep walking. Half out of hunger, half out of curiosity, Harvey did as Rictus had instructed. And as he came within 3 steps of the wall, a gust of balmy, flower-scented wind slipped between the shimmering stones and kissed his cheek. Its warmth was welcome after his long, cold trek, and he picked up his pace, reaching out to touch the wall as he approached it. The misty stones seemed to reach for him in their turn, wrapping their soft, grey arms around his shoulders and ushering him through the wall. And ahead of him, set at the summit of a great slope, was a house that had surely first been imagined in a dream.